On January 11th, 2005, during the era of the PS2, GameCube, and the original Xbox, one of the greatest survival horror games would grace us all, and it was Resident Evil 4. I remember being a kid and watching my brother boot up the GameCube and watching him play, and I saw Leon Kennedy, and I remember thinking, wow, that man is cool. 18 years later, on the Xbox Series X, S, and PS5, we get a remake. This is Capcom's attempt at rekindling lightning in a bottle. Now, don't get me wrong. That bottle and lightning, it happened already with RE2 and RE3 Remake. But this is the creme of la creme when it comes to the RE games, period. And to many, it is the greatest of the franchise, me included. So when I heard they were remaking the game, I was very happy, but at the same time, very skeptical of the decisions they might go. And now we're going to talk about it. Welcome aboard the Grey Matter Games. I'm the host, Gene Rios, and where I cover everything gaming, from leaks, reviews, trailer breakdowns, honest opinions, you name it, I'll cover to the best of my abilities. Now, firstly, this is captured on the PS5, and I have to say, maybe I'm wrong, but the usage of the triggers on the controller, to me, it immersed the experience, made it a lot better. Right away, something that I noticed when it comes to the build of this game, I went back and I played on my Xbox Series X Resident Evil Village, and I have to know, is it a new engine for RE4? Or is it just a better version of Village? And the reason I ask is because, how do I explain it? If I'm not mistaken, when Biohazard came out, and it had this crazy engine, RE2 and RE3 were made on a more updated version of that engine that would, I guess, be a precursor to Village. But when I pop open Resident Evil 4 Remake, the graphics, in my opinion, were drastically different from Village. Maybe better optimization, or again, maybe it's a precursor to whatever RE9 would be. That's just at least my opinion, you know. Something I noticed in my run of the game, and I put about a good solid 30 hours. I wanted to make sure I got as many of the trophies as possible and been able to just mess with the game at every angle basically possible when it comes to this game. Right away, they bring back the inventory system that we've known and loved from Resident Evil. And they also changed a bit when it comes to mixing herbs and creating weapons and weapon ammunitions and items. But something that right away, I'm going to just say it right now, maybe it's just me. I don't know. And maybe Capcom did it on purpose, but I felt like there was a decision when it comes to maneuvering your inventory that I felt like made everything cramped no matter how many upgrades you took. That's just me. And I think it's because I ran back through RE2 and RE3 Remake, and I played Village, and I like the ability to grab an attachment and just merge it into a gun, and it's either gonna not change the amount of slot it eats, or it does extend the slot by just a little bit more than the original defaulted gun space. And I felt like, in my opinion, not being able to do that, and if you can, please let me know in the comments. I just was not able to figure it out. This game, you would have a gun, and I'm going to use the red dot sight as the example, or the red laser sight from Leon's pistol. You'd have the pistol, and you would have the gun take up, let's say, 4 blocks of space. The attachment would eat up 2 slots, but there was no way for me to physically merge it into the gun so that it wouldn't accumulate space. The attachments of the weapons did accumulate space in this game. At least stupid attachments, like small attachments, made an impact on the space management. Maybe Capcom did it for us to kind of think before we do certain things. I don't know. Whatever. Right away, I think the gunplay is amazing. I think the fact that they added crouching makes a really big difference in the game. And to some, like myself, that were very skeptical of some of these decisions going in, Don't worry. What they did is that the enemy NPCs were already aggressive in the original game, and what they did is that they basically dialed up the aggression towards these AI. So if you start to sprint, the enemies sprint with you. The accuracy of when they throw things is a lot sharper. It's sometimes even annoying. They added bear traps everywhere, which I have to rightfully say it right now. Capcom, I don't mind the bear traps. I think you guys got inspiration from Evil Within, but can you do an update or something? Can you dial back on those on those bear traps? There's an insane amount of them, and very annoying. Okay, they have these little challenges here that you can earn these currencies, these little trading points. I think they're called spines, so you can get extra stuff out of the vendor, which the vendor makes his return from RE4. Some interesting quotes. It feels just right, you know. Maybe, if I'm not mistaken, there are a couple quotes missing here and there, but overall it's pretty spot on. Similar to RE Village, or any Resident Evil game in general, you can buy your weapons, you can buy expansions to your inventory space, you can buy medical equipment, you can buy recipes for said ammunition or grenades, etc. The only gripe, which I'll go into a little more detail later, personally, I don't mind leveling up a gun in terms of its performance, but I felt like the amount of depth that they went to, very similar to Village. I felt like, in my opinion, it hindered my first run of the game, because I want to be as immersed as possible in there. You know, that's just me. That's just me. If I want to go in like a full powerhouse, I'll go in my New Game Plus run or something. But in my first game, I want to feel like the way the story is supposed to be progressed. That's just me. So I felt like guns were insanely overpowered. And I'm not talking about the pistol and stuff. I'm talking about the things you will buy or acquire later on that didn't feel all that crazy back then. It's just that when you play RE2 and you play RE3, the upgrades that you get in those games, which are just simply attachments, it helps you through the campaign, but it doesn't make you this powerhouse. And I feel like here, if you have enough money, eventually you will become the powerhouse. Something I right away have to say, the art, the art style for this game, the visuals, however you want to call it, is phenomenal. They not only took these original locations from the original game, and just overhauled the aesthetic, but the lighting, the ray tracing, except for the hair. Ray tracing in the hair is a little nyeh. But overall, everything, when you're inside the castle, to inside the church, through the actual village, when you're in the lago, the lake, everything about it feels phenomenal. And as the story progresses and the weather changes, it also adds this level of immersion to the world. Oh man, I got like a hiccup in here. Woo! Now, I wish, maybe it's me, I'm not, maybe, I don't know how many people think the same way as I do, but I kind of wish we had more puzzles in this game instead of the little challenges. I felt like the challenges were a little tedious. I like it for what it is, but in a perfect world, I would like to have had it, be replaced with something else, with more puzzles. That's just my take on it. I thought the bosses were handled very well, except for the last boss, and I think this goes back to what I said about the weapon progression being OP. You acquire some weapons that weren't in the original RE4, and when you max them out, if you know the weapons, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna spoil anything. It just feels like you're a little too broken at that point, and I just don't like that. Again, to each their own. That's just for me. The acting has been pretty spot on, with the exception of Ada Wong. Of course, we all know the story of what's happening with the actor who's voicing Ada Wong in the remake compared to RE2 remake. And listen, I'm gonna just say it right now to those that are harassing said actor, y'all gotta stop. At the end of the day, it's their job. They gave it their all. They're doing what they think is right, and whoever is the director behind them is thinking that what they're doing is right. So really, they are not the ones that deserve the heat. If you have a problem or you have a criticism, you take it with whoever it is, like Capcom or whoever it is that is involved with hiring actors and stuff, but you don't take it out on the actual performers. It is not their fault. I mean, come on, you can't blame them. They got a job, especially Resident Evil 4 Remake. Who's going to pass up on an opportunity for that? That is, I wouldn't do it. And, and I'm not nowhere near good and talented as all these people were. So you guys got to be a little bit more respectful in that perspective. But Capcom has done a phenomenal job here. Now, is it better than the original game? In many aspects, yes. Honestly, arguably in every aspect, yes, for sure, hands down. Me being someone who loves nostalgia and stuff, there are a little bit of stuff that I prefer from the original, but that's just me. But it definitely, that RE2 magic kicked in very, very well in here. The sprinting mechanic here is a lot better. Like I said before, it makes the enemies a little bit more aggressive, so you don't necessarily feel too overpowered in terms of the new mechanics. There is going to be counters for that for the enemies, like the enemies become... They hit harder, or a little bit smarter, or they'll put like traps and stuff, like the little TNT stuff in smart areas and stuff like that. The environment's interactable as well. We have like cows and stuff that you can interact with. Chickens laying eggs. Overall, the game is a blast. I definitely say it's worth the $60 to $70 that it is the game. I will say this, nitpick here. I understand Capcom has to sell a premium version of a game for a reason, but to have a weapon locked behind a paid situation, it's kind of paid to win, especially seeing other streamers that have paid that weapon makes a very big difference. That's just my opinion. Word of advice, go buy that crossbow thing early on. It is weak, but it saves you so much resources. It's amazing. It's a new weapon for this game, but it does not hinder the experience. You don't feel like you're godly in there compared to other stuff later down the line. I do like how it's a lot more open world-ish than it originally was. I'm not saying that it was an open world in the original RE4, but if you played the game, you know what I mean. The character models of Leon, now that he's older and wiser, looks phenomenal. Ashley looks great. One thing I will say, I do like how they've updated Leon. Like he had a lot of these one-liners in the original, and it was cool for what it was at that time, you know. But here, not saying that he doesn't have these epic one-liners. He does have some very slick comments, but they're not as cringy or as forced as back then. It just feels more grounded. That's the right word to say. It's grounded. This whole game experience is a lot more grounded, more entwined with the nervous Leon of RE2. It's a proper evolution of that character, which makes me excited of what's to come in the future. When you play the game, we all know RE5 is the next game that they practically are confirming, but I will get into that in my future video later this month. It's going to probably be called What to Expect at Resident Evil 5, or, you know, what changes might happen in RE5 to make sure that that game is well received, because to some, you know, it wasn't very well received. It was arguably the beginning of the downside of Resident Evil. But, you know, that's really all I gotta say for that. Overall, again, Resident Evil 4 Remake is amazing. Hands down, there's really not much I can say without being spoilerish, and I don't want to get into spoilers. If you see my other videos, like above, the God of War Ragnarok reviews, I like to make sure that when I make my reviews, they're enough content from a casual perspective so that people understand what I'm trying to say, and trying to cover these games while making sure nothing is necessarily spoiled. That's all for right now. I'm gonna probably do more RE4 videos, especially as we get closer to a supposed DLC content of some sort involving Ada Wong. Ooh, actually, hold up. Before we go, they did my boy Luis. I think his name is Luis. They did my boy Luis some justice compared to the original version of the game. He really was this MVP in terms of the story. I won't say what he does if you've never played any version of the game, but here they gave him more context, more emotion to the character. He just comes on like this remorseful person in a way. Also, another thing this game does, really good job, there's Easter eggs around here, and where they kind of hint at the RE movies, the animated movies, and they kind of just connect more threads now, more narratives. It just makes everything a lot more synchronized, which I give it a double thumbs up. But yeah, that's all I can really say for right now. I hope you all enjoyed my video. It's your boy Gene from Grey Matter Games, and please, I see when you guys see my videos, and I appreciate the views. I can see how long people last watching them, which is thumbs up, because I see that you guys are all enjoying my content. But please, I want my channel to grow, and I love all the support that my fans have been giving me. But to all the newcomers, subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell for future upload on my content. I will be doing more YouTube shorts as I get closer to actual videos. So it's going to be less videos, more shorts. As you all know, I'm a very busy person. But yeah, until next time, everybody, it's your boy Gene from Grey Matter Games. I'm out. Peace.